coverage, snap to Haney, throws it over the middle, and intercepted! Intercepted! B.J. Raji to the end zone for the touchdown! NFC Championship dagger! Blitz is on, Rodgers scrambles left, winds up Rainbow. He's got Cobb at the 10 to the 5, to the end zone, touchdown, and a dagger!
The Wisconsin Sports Trilogy presents the Packers Trilogy Podcast.
Heyo, Packer fans, what's going on? Welcome to the Packers Trilogy Podcast presented by the Wisconsin Sports Trilogy, the podcast for diehard Packer fans by diehard Packer fans. I am your host, Trevor. You can find me on Twitter at Bender_Trevor. And as always, you can find our podcast on Twitter at Trilogy_Pod. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube as well. On those platforms, we are the Wisconsin Sports Trilogy Podcast. Today, I have another film breakdown for you guys, and not a positive one. I kind of mentioned this back when we recapped the Buccaneers game, that this might be my first negative sort of film review. Everything else has been positive, how well these guys are playing, whether it be Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary, MVS I had a video on, and a whole bunch of different guys, Kingsley Keke as well. I've had a lot of different videos out there of like how guys are playing, how good they're playing, and why the Packers are doing so good. Now they have an off game, and it was something that just kind of came to me of why, or partially the reason why this game went the way it did. And this is on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously the offense had a lot of issues in that game and was also a big reason as to why the Packers ended up losing big time to the Buccaneers. But I did want to look at this defense, and the reason I want to look at this defense is a couple of different things. So I'm going to talk about not getting any pressure to Tom Brady, and there's two ways that happens. The first is just not scheming pressure, sending 2-3 guys at a time to Tom Brady in situations where you got to get him off his spot and get him moving. And it's just not okay to be sending 2 guys on a blitz. Other than that, there's times where Patton sends blitzes and it's just players are not getting home at all. And Tom Brady, when there's 6 guys blitzing him, he's just standing in one spot making the throw, not getting affected at all. So it definitely plays both ways. We'll tie in the Vikings game ever so slightly at the end, and we'll also look at a few times where they did get the pressure and it kind of changed that throw, and it was the few times that the Packers actually looked like they were going to be able to do something in this game. So let's get started here. This first play, again, rushing 2 players. Just 2 players. You'll see Kenny Clark and Kingsley Keke drop out, which they drop to almost the same spot. It's just not effective at all. Why are you having them drop? They're dropping late. Like, I just don't understand this play call at all. And look at Tom Brady can just sit there and fire a strike, and that's Mike Evans' 1 catch of the game. So that's just a very frustrating one. Here we have 3. We're rushing 3 on this one. Again, not an effective way to get to the quarterback. Even though these 3, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Za'Darius Smith, got to the quarterback last year, they're not doing it as well this year. And with 3 guys blitzing, that's not gonna do the trick, and something that has been very frustrating for me at times. And then you're dropping Montravius Adams against Gronk, and even Gronk the way he is now. That's not fair. That makes it look like Montravius Adams is not playing well. No, that's not fair. That shouldn't be his job. Here, yet another 3-man rush. Now, I calculated the snap to throw. It was 4 seconds. And Tom Brady, they do actually get him to move from his spot, but it's because they just blow right past him. Here, Preston blows right past him. And all Tom Brady has to do is step up, take 2 steps up, and he has an easy throw. And again, why are you blitzing 3? And if you're blitzing 3, why is there 4 guys covering 2 guys and really 6 guys covering 3? If you look at the end of this play here, of this clip, you can see there's 4 players covering 2 in front of Josh Jackson, and Josh Jackson has to cover his man by himself. It just does not make much sense. Here they send a little bit more pressure. They send 5 this time, and they get absolutely nowhere close to Brady. If you watch here, he just stands in that same spot. He kind of gets happy feet a little bit. If you watch here again, he kind of gets happy feet a little bit with the guy coming up the middle. I believe it's Kiki. And then he just settles in and makes a perfect throw. And that's what happens when you're facing good quarterbacks and let them just literally stand there. Tom Brady doesn't really move. You know, he's moving his feet a little bit, but he's not really moving from the spot. And he puts it on a dime, and that's an issue. Here, you send 6. Tom Brady can just stand in the pocket and deliver a strike. Tom Brady doesn't have to move, and you're sending 6 Packers at him. That's something that can't happen when you're sending a blitz. So that definitely here, the players got to make something happen, and it is a quick throw, but it's still, you still have to get some sort of pressure. You gotta at least get him off his stop, get him fading away, something there. You can't have him just play pitch and catch with Gronk there. This one, they send 5. Za'Darius gets in the face of Tom Brady. Watch this, a little bit a better angle for you. In the face, look at how terrible of a throw that is. You get pressure on quarterbacks. You affect their throws. They can't be good. It's not rocket science, and there's a lot more to it. I don't want to say you just have to get pressure on the quarterback, because if you do it too often, you know, these good quarterbacks are going to pick you apart. But there's times where you have to get at the quarterback, and you have to be able to do that. And the Packers have not been able to do that consistently. They were last year, and it was fun to watch. Here, they send kind of a late blitz. You know, he's not right on the line of scrimmage. It's Redmond there. He breaks at the snap. The running back misses his assignment. And a terrible underthrow by Brady. To me, Adrian Amos needs to actually try to make this play. It looks like it drops about 3 feet in front of him. Like, lay out for that. Try to make a play. Like, show some effort, like, in that angle. Like, make the play. Just try to make the play. Why are you not? There you get a good angle at Will Redmond, but overall that was a good play, and we saw a lot of this in the fourth quarter of the Vikings game, of not getting pressure on Kirk Cousins, and he's able to just dump it right. It was a very good throw, and even Kirk Cousins, who we kind of dogged on the NFC North News podcast, the video podcast on YouTube here, for the Vikings signing him again. But if you don't make him move off of his spot, and he steps back, takes a step back, and looks to Thielen and throws. He looks off the safety and then throws. And you have to try to get him to move a little bit. I know there's time. It's a pretty quick throw. Like I said, he basically just gets the ball, looks off the safety, and throws. It's not much. It was his first read, you know, all those things. But you have to get these quarterbacks to move. You saw it with Tom Brady in that Buccaneers game. You saw it in the fourth quarter with Kirk Cousins, who's not a good quarterback. You know, at best, he's below average to, like, right on the borderline of good, but he is not a good quarterback. And I wouldn't say anywhere near elite, except maybe if you're playing a bad team at noon on a Sunday, then maybe you could say he's elite. But overall, you know, he's not a very elite quarterback, but when you give him time to throw and give him clean pockets, it's going to make it a lot easier. And you saw that on that throw there. You saw that throughout that fourth quarter. And then you saw it in that Buccaneers game. Tom Brady is a much, much better quarterback, that's for sure. But, you know, you saw those 2 plays where you get in his face, you affect the throw. He's kind of bailing out on that one that Will Redmond hit him on, and the throw's not anywhere close. So that's something that needs to improve. And like I said, I hate 2 and 3 man rush looks. It's stupid in my opinion. Why are you only sending 2 or 3? Because most of the time there's going to be a breakdown in the coverage at some point. No matter if you have 7 back there, 8 back there, 9 back there, there's going to be a breakdown eventually. So why not try to get to the quarterback? You know, if you're dropping 7, rushing 4, and your 4 are getting home a lot of the time, winning their one-on-ones, that's great. That's what Mike Pettin did last year. But that's the minimum for rush 4. I don't love when you rush 3 unless you're up 28 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, then fine. But for the most part, you're rushing 4 at the very least, sending blitzes here and there, and a little bit more often. I would like that. But the other part of that is if you can rush 4 and actually get home, that would be awesome. And that's something we saw last year, and that's something that we have to get back to seeing. Za'Darius Smith, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Kingsley Keke, these guys have to start stepping up and making plays on the front end, and that will help the back end. And Jair Alexander's been great. So if you pair that with the pass rush we saw last year, Kevin King, when he's been on the field, I feel like has been more consistent. You know, Josh Jackson looked pretty good against Tampa Bay, in my opinion. I thought that was one of his better games of his career. Yeah, he had the pass interference. That touchdown he gave up, like I said, I don't really know what was going on with the coverage on that play because it just looked weird. But there's definitely room for improvement on this defense. And to me, it's both the players and the coaches. Mike Pettin, in my opinion, the play calling's got to get better. And the players have to play how we're used to seeing them play. Za'Darius isn't there. Preston isn't there. I think Rashawn Gary is. Kenny Clark isn't there, but that's not entirely fair, again, because he's played 6 quarters of football. So definitely something to continue to monitor. And they're going to have a test coming up here against the Texans. And actually, when you guys see this, this will be after the Texans game. I'm recording it before. I kind of have a busy weekend, and it won't be up till after the recap podcast. So Tuesday or Wednesday next week, this video will be coming up, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. And to see all of our other content, again, the best place to do that is follow us on Twitter at Trilogy_pod. You can subscribe on YouTube here. We'd really, really appreciate that. Like our video on Facebook. We're the Wisconsin Sports Trilogy Podcast as well. And as always, follow me on Twitter at Bender_Trevor. And then also follow my other host, Tyler, at Tyler Kurth. And he is the host of the Brewers Trilogy Podcast. We're getting our first Brewers one up. That's exciting news. Hopefully you guys enjoy. But until next time, go Pack Go.